Hi, I'm Jimmy Wong. I'm in the live-action adaptation of Mulan coming up, and I have a new cookbook coming out called The Feast of Fiction Kitchen, and today I'm going to answer your most burning questions in 10 minutes while chopping onions. And I'm definitely going to cry. So let's get to it. First question is, how often do I chop onions? Well, I do a lot of cooking, and now that we are all stuck inside for this pandemic, I am doing a lot more of that. So I probably chop onions once every few days at most. Where would I rate my knife skills on a scale of 1 to 10? I've been in the kitchen and I've been practicing cutting things for close to 9 years now. I also grew up with a mom that went to a culinary school and always cooked for us growing up as well. So I'd say my knife skills are somewhere around, I don't know, like a 7 or an 8. I've seen Gordon Ramsay and those guys get at it. I will say though that my peeling skills are probably pretty bad. I'd give them a 1. When was the last time I cried? Okay, well, the last time I cried was like 2 days ago. I was watching Toy Story 3. Well, actually, you know what? My girlfriend was watching Toy Story 3, and I said, oh, look, Toy Story 3. I love this movie. I sat down, and there were approximately 3 instances in that movie where I sobbed openly.
It was too late.
Now, you gotta promise to take good care of these guys. They mean a lot to me.
The first time I saw this movie was on an airplane, and I remember having a very similar reaction. I actually cried more the second time around, though, because I think I was in the privacy of my own home and the comfort of having loved ones around me, and not trying to avoid the stewardess as she went down the aisle and saw me quietly sobbing into the airline blanket. Because that's what happened the first time. All right, first up, how am I gonna actually cut this onion? Let's go for a good dice on this first one. Okay, well, the worst job I ever had was being a street canvasser on the streets of Seattle, and what that entailed was basically going up to random strangers and asking if they would like to donate to charity, which I don't recommend as a first job, because if you don't like rejection, well, you're not gonna like this job. This was one of the most painful things I've ever had to do. Basically, just having someone say no to you upwards of 1,000 times a day is never a fun time. Rank the following social platform. If I had to rank YouTube, TikTok, Snapchat, Instagram, and Twitter, YouTube has to come first. It was the first platform I ever started creating on.
Hey, Jimmy! Come hang out.
Hey guys.
And as a result, I obviously have a lot more allegiance there than any of the other ones. Twitter is my favorite platform to post on. I also think Twitter is really important because it can help get news out across the world really quickly. It can also get fake news out across the world really quickly, but I think in general, truth-seeking will land more on the truth side of things than the lies out there. Instagram is third. Who doesn't love pretty pictures? TikTok probably fourth. It's a fun platform, not one that I love to use, but it's definitely one I can get myself lost in. And the last is Snapchat, because it's the only one that's not installed on my phone currently. What are 3 things I always have in my fridge? Well, I definitely always have Crystal Red hot sauce, or just Crystal hot sauce. It's one of my favorite hot sauces of all time. Always have one of those little baking soda boxes because they help get rid of smells, and that's actually super important, especially if you're like pickling anything. You're gonna need to have one of those baking soda boxes. And then I usually always have some kind of fizzy drink in my refrigerator as well. So whether or not it's a soda, which I try and drink only like once a week because they're so bad for you, or if it's something like a carbonated Perrier water or something nice like that. What celeb do I still want to meet? I think Tom Hanks is one of the greatest actors ever, and I would love to meet him at some point and express just how much of a fan I am, as well as how inspirational he's been to me my entire life.
If there's anything you need, I won't be far away.
Love that guy. What's the first thing I ever learned how to cook? Well, when I was growing up, my mom wouldn't really ask for my help in the kitchen, but she would let me watch, and then later on, as I started to go off to college, I was like, Mom, I need to know some recipes so I can cook for myself. And so she taught me how to make her fried rice, which was the first basic one, and of course, from there, well, there were a lot more things we made after that. Oh my gosh, that onion is definitely getting to my eyes. When did I first realize I was famous? Well, there is a convention every single year called VidCon, which is the video convention, believe it or not. It's been going on for like, I think over 9 years now. But in the early years, right after I made my first viral video on YouTube, I went and I just got the experience of being sort of surrounded and screamed at by a lot of people that watched my videos or knew who I was, or just were excited to be at VidCon and see celebrities in their eyes for the first time. So that's when I first felt famous. That was actually a really, really cool feeling. A little overwhelming though. Now, besides Mulan, what was my favorite Disney movie growing up? I would probably have to say either Winnie the Pooh or Robin Hood. I think those movies were really funny and super cute. And maybe I just have a thing for talking animals, I'm not sure. I do have a dog myself, and I love foxes, and she looks a little bit like a fox, so maybe Robin Hood was my favorite growing up then in that case. What's one of the first things I do when I wake up? Okay, well, I walk the dogs, I pee, and I get coffee, although not necessarily in that order. What's one of my most irrational fears? Probably drowning. I think there's something so very terrifying about dying underwater, and movies that show people drowning have to be one of the worst things in the world. So please don't do that if you're a filmmaker. Please. Advice for starting your own YouTube page? I think this is just good advice for anyone that wants to start anything, be it Instagram, Twitter, or just start making videos or content. Don't do it for the views. Don't do it for the clout. Don't do it for the fame or any of that. Just do it for yourself. And when you do that, you get to do something that's really, really important when it comes to content creation, which is you get to decide what you want to make and why you want to make it, especially if it's going to be relevant and important to you as a person. When I first started, I wanted to do covers of songs as well as make a social impact with the messaging in there. And as a result, I got to make videos that I weren't thinking about, like I need to get X number of views or whatever, but I got to make videos that made me happy. And that's ultimately what kept me going and kept me making sure that I kept making videos in the long run. Time to move on to onion number 2, the red onion. Oh my gosh, my eyes are killing me now. Okay, what's the next question? Where was I when I first found out I was cast in the live action Mulan? I was in my car in Seattle. I was up there for some sort of streaming event or something. I forget exactly what. And my agent calls me and says, great news. And I'd been waiting for this news for a very, very long time, but I didn't want to spoil it. I had no idea whether or not it was going to actually be what I thought it was. So I just waited, and he said, you got cast. And I remember screaming and jumping around. Well, not jumping around, like jumping around as much as I could inside my car. And being so very happy, and immediately telling all of my loved ones, my family, my friends, as soon as I could. But when I found out, it was amazing, and it was a secret that, of course, I had to keep because it wasn't announced to the public yet. So only my very, very close friends and family knew. But it was an amazing, amazing feeling getting to share that with everyone. And I just remember being over the hill and almost punching a hole in my roof because I was so excited. What were some of the big changes made in the live action adaptation of Mulan? Well, for one, it's live action. Another one is that it is a much more serious, but that doesn't mean it's not comical or fun. It's just a much more serious overall and realistic take on this story. While there are a lot of elements of magic and huge grandeur battles, the cool part about this movie is that it's focused on the characters mostly, and the director, Nikki Caro, is an amazing, amazing director. And what she wanted to do with this movie was make something that was true to life, but also still had sort of those Disney elements in there. And at the same time, you know, harken back to what the original was. So you're gonna see a ton more action, an expanded cast of characters that really help develop out the universe. And of course, the incredible Ife, who is just a fantastic Mulan. I can't wait for you guys to see it. I'm gonna cut these into squares, I think. If I could have grown up anywhere else outside of Seattle, where would I have chosen and why? Well, I was a big skier growing up, and I love the sun. So Colorado, I think, would be the most obvious choice, as apparently some places in Colorado get sun 300 days of the year, and they get a bunch of snow. So that's kind of like the ultimate combination of exactly what I want in a city. Okay, if I could learn one instrument right now, what would it be? I've always wanted to learn the cello. I think it's a beautiful instrument, and it has such deep sounds, and it really can accommodate so much music and make it elevated and just sort of feel like an entirely different mood altogether. So I love the cello. I would love to learn someday. What was my favorite part about filming Mulan? Well, I would say that the camaraderie between me and the castmates was something that I will always cherish forever. These are people that I still know today, I still talk to, even during this pandemic and staying inside. It's great to be able to have people to connect to and ask how they're doing and keep in touch with old friends. A lot of times when you film movies or shows, you kind of like lose touch with a lot of the people that made it, just because, you know, everyone goes on to do their own different things. So it's great to have that connection still with this cast and even the crew too. So I loved being able to get to know all these wonderful people. Have I ever regretted making one of my music videos? Well, if I did, it's no longer on the internet because I privated it or I took it down, so you'll never actually know. What's a typical day look like for me right now? Well, staying inside obviously is the #1 priority, and I'm lucky in that I have a career that I can work from home and do a lot of the stuff I need to from home. So I've been doing a lot of that, and as a result, I've been watching a lot of Netflix shows as well with my girlfriend and walking the dogs and hanging out with all of them. So it's great. It gives me a little bit of rest, but at the same time, I can still get what needs to get done. What is the hardest recipe to recreate anything with fondant? If it has fondant in there, it is just so hard because it's hard to work with. The moment that your hands touch it, it starts to heat up, and then it gets everywhere, and it starts molding and mushing and looking bad. Don't use fondant. It's a nightmare. Unless you're a cake boss, in which case go nuts. By the way, I'm done cutting onions because currently onions are in high demand in the world, and it's hard. I don't want to go out to buy more if I'm not going to use them. So, sorry, Delish, but I'm trying to be frugal here. Good luck to whoever does this next, and don't forget to subscribe to Delish. And if you want to hit me up and ask me more questions, I'm always available. You can find me on Twitter or Instagram or YouTube, my top 3 rated social platforms at JFWONG.